Since their sordid criminal activities came to light in 2019, one can't hear the names Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein without disgust. But what was their relationship, and how did it begin? When Maxwell first met Epstein in 1991, she was a young British socialite who just moved to New York. Her father, UK media mogul Robert Maxwell, had recently acquired the New York Daily News. This put her firmly among New York's society set. Maxwell seemed all set to live the high life without a hitch. Maxwell was used to the kind of lifestyle men like Epstein led. She grew up that way, even if her father wasn't as financially well off as he appeared. The truth was his business was in the red and he'd borrowed heavily from his company's pension funds, which came to light after he died in a mysterious boating accident in November 1991.
The total amount missing from the Mirror pension funds came to £763 million.
Suddenly, Maxwell's shiny New York life and social status were in peril. She moved into a tiny apartment and her future was uncertain.
But I don't feel in any way smaller or lesser than what I was before.
That's when Epstein came to her rescue. The pair quickly grew close, and by the time 1992 rolled around, there was speculation that Maxwell and Epstein were a couple. Looking back at when and how Maxwell and Epstein first got close, it would be logical to think she held on tight to him because of his massive bank account. At the time, Epstein was worth an estimated $559 million, and Maxwell's family money was gone. But as long as she was with him, she was able to continue living the rich life, and her socialite status was secure. During Maxwell's New York sex trafficking case, prosecutor Laura Pomerantz made this arrangement crystal clear in her opening statement, saying, "These girls were just a means to support her lifestyle, a way for the defendant to make sure that Epstein remained satisfied so that the defendant could stay in the lifestyle to which she was accustomed." Several witnesses supported Pomerantz's statement. Banker Patrick McHugh told the court that Maxwell received over $30 million in payments from Epstein between 1999 and 2007. Some of this money was used to buy a $7.35 million helicopter. One accuser told the court Maxwell had boasted about the property Epstein bought her, saying, "She told me that she owned her house in New York City and that Jeffrey had got it for her." Epstein doesn't appear to have been the kind of person who did anything for free. Just as he was a means for Maxwell to maintain her lifestyle, she was key to Epstein expanding his social circle. She knew people in high places, including British royals, American politicians, and plenty of celebrities. While Epstein was rich, he was socially awkward. Maxwell was a social butterfly who knew how to work a room.
They became totally dependent on each other in a weird way.
Columnist and publicist R. Corey Hay believed Maxwell and Epstein's relationship was always more transactional than romantic. Telling the Daily Mail, Ghislaine was a classic social climber, only interested in people who were rich and entitled and powerful. The 90s saw Epstein and Maxwell mingling with the likes of former U.S. President Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, and Donald Trump's friendship with Epstein was always on display despite his recent denials of their relationship. According to Hay, these kinds of connections wouldn't have been possible for Epstein without Maxwell as his wingwoman.
Remember that it was his girlfriend that was the key element in this.
Hay went on to explain, Jeffrey liked to collect people. The fact she could produce someone such as Prince Andrew made her a star in his eyes. I saw them at a very grand party once, and she might as well have been leading him around on a leash. She was his crutch.
She was asked what her relationship with Epstein was, and was it a relationship? And she sort of answered saying she wasn't really sure.
While Maxwell and Epstein never publicly said they were dating, many thought they were a couple, and witness testimony during Maxwell's trial suggested that the two were in a romantic relationship for several years. Hayes said there was no doubt in his mind that Maxwell hero-worshipped Epstein, explaining, "She looked up to Jeffrey like he was Zeus. I never got the feeling he was in love with her, but they gave off the aura of being a couple." In 2021, Maxwell's brother Ian confirmed to Business Insider that the two were in a relationship at one point, but insisted that they never lived together, and the relationship eventually turned professional. He added that the relationship wasn't typical, saying they were not some loved-up couple. One of Epstein's alleged victims, Annie Farmer, testified in the case against Maxwell, describing the pair as handsy and very playful with each other. And Farmer's mother, Janice Swain, told the court that Epstein once referred to Maxwell as his wife. While many dark secrets came to light during Maxwell's trial, none were so unexpected as the claim that Maxwell was once pregnant with Epstein's child. One of Maxwell's accusers, Carolyn, dropped the bombshell on the stand, claiming she saw pictures of Maxwell with a baby bump while she was at Epstein's house. And they weren't just any photos, she testified. There was multiple pictures, nude photos. A picture released by the U.S. District Attorney's Office and published by the Daily Mail shows Epstein and Maxwell posing for a photograph with Epstein's hand on Maxwell's stomach, giving the impression that she might have been pregnant. But if that were true, it's not clear what happened to the baby. The late Virginia Roberts Giuffre, one of the most prominent figures in the cases against both Epstein and Maxwell, revealed to her lawyer Bradley Edwards that the pair approached her with a proposition. In his memoir, Relentless Pursuit, Edwards writes, "They told Virginia she would be taken care of for the rest of her life if she would agree to give Epstein and Maxwell a child." The deal wasn't as simple as it sounded, though. According to Edwards, there were some strings attached. In particular, she would have to sign a contract agreeing that the baby was not her own, but the legal child of Epstein and Maxwell. Giuffre didn't take them up on the offer. Maxwell wasn't just Epstein's partner, she also ran his household and some of his business affairs. In his testimony, Juan Alessi, who managed Epstein's Palm Beach home, referred to Maxwell as the girlfriend of Mr. Epstein and the lady of the house, explaining that she took over the household the second she crossed the threshold for the first time. He explained, "She mentioned to me she was going to be the lady of the house. Also, she was in charge of other homes, other properties." Maxwell was so invested in running the household that she eventually put together a handbook for Alessi, dictating how to do his job. It included, among other instructions, to try and anticipate the needs of Mr. Epstein, Ms. Maxwell, and their guests, and to remember that you see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing except to answer a question directed at you. Respect guests' privacy. Alessi also testified that Maxwell told him he wasn't allowed to make eye contact with Epstein. Epstein's former private pilots, Larry Visosky Jr. and David Rogers, both testified that Maxwell was somewhat of a personal assistant to Epstein. She would book flights, oversee finances, and hire employees. She also had a hand in managing some of Epstein's many properties and took care of the financier's day-to-day needs.
She fed a monster. You had to kind of be a monster to do it.
When Epstein was charged in 2006, it appears that Maxwell tried to distance herself, at least romantically, from him. She started dating billionaire Ted Waite in 2005, but they broke up in 2010 because, according to the Daily Mail, Waite could no longer deal with the media storm surrounding Maxwell's association with Epstein. Despite Epstein's new status as a convicted sex offender, Maxwell didn't break things off with him entirely. Privately, the two remained close. In emails exchanged between the duo that have since been made public, Epstein assured Maxwell she was in the clear, emailing her, "You have done nothing wrong and I would urge you to start acting like it. Go outside, head high, not as an escaping convict. Go to parties, deal with it." In a 2016 deposition, Maxwell admitted that she didn't cut ties with Epstein after he was convicted, and that she was still involved in business relating to his properties during that time. Her deposition testimony didn't do her any favors when she faced her own charges in 2020. She testified, "I'm a very loyal person and Jeffrey was very good to me when my father passed away. I felt that it was a very thoughtful, nice thing for me to do to help in a very limited fashion." While Maxwell wasn't directly implicated in Jeffrey Epstein's 2006 indictment, the public and the media became suspicious of her in the 2010s. Giuffre claimed Prince Andrew assaulted her when she was just 17, and that the encounter had been orchestrated by Epstein and Maxwell. Maxwell vehemently denied the allegations, calling Giuffre a liar. This was the beginning of the end for Epstein and Maxwell, as well as the end of Epstein and Prince Andrew's connection. More women began to come forward accusing Epstein and Maxwell of abuse, and in 2019, Epstein was finally arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. He died by alleged suicide while awaiting trial, a little over a month after his arrest.
Once again, he had, managed to escape any kind of accountability.
Meanwhile, Maxwell was living on borrowed time. With Epstein no longer alive to be held accountable for his crimes, authorities focused their attention on her. Farmer and Carolyn testified that Maxwell participated in the abuse. Another accuser, Jane, recalled that Maxwell would touch her inappropriately, adding that she was also subjected to inappropriate group encounters. In 2020, Maxwell was charged with 6 counts of sex trafficking, but she maintained her innocence throughout the trial. When author and investigative journalist Conchita Sarnoff spoke to Maxwell about the allegations prior to her arrest, Maxwell simply brushed it off. Sarnoff told the Daily Mail, "She did not sound guilty, ashamed, or alarmed, but merely dismissive. She was simply a girlfriend hiring his masseuses, and they had all been legitimate and weren't underage." Ian Maxwell, Ghislaine's brother, told Insider his sister was never involved in Epstein's crimes, insisting, "The idea that somehow Ghislaine would spend any time at all in this horrible, sleazy world that we now know he was attracted to is absurd. The idea that she would be some kind of a madam, it really is grotesque." Despite Maxwell's desperate attempt to prove her innocence, she was found guilty of 5 of the 6 charges against her, after compelling testimony from victims. Taken cumulatively, their testimony painted a picture of the way Maxwell exploited them during their teenage years, using their innocence and problems as a means to lure them into Epstein's clutches, while promising to make all their wildest dreams come true. Instead, the young women were subjected to their worst nightmares. After the guilty verdict came down, Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
The road to justice has been far too long. But today, justice has been done.
When Epstein turned 50, Maxwell reportedly asked all of his friends to write him cards for the big day. Then she compiled all of the well wishes into a leather-bound book. Decades later, the contents of this book would come back to haunt Epstein's inner circle. In July 2025, Maxwell's birthday gift dominated the headlines thanks to a bombshell article published by the Wall Street Journal, which claimed the book included an incriminating letter from Donald Trump that indicated that he wasn't, as he claimed, completely in the dark about Epstein's illegal activities. The letter, which was reportedly typewritten, included a drawing of a naked woman with the president's signature in a suggestive spot. The message's incriminating closing line read, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret."
On top of sounding super incriminating, may every day be another wonderful secret also sounds like the tagline for a cologne for cheating husbands.
Trump denied writing the birthday note or drawing the figure described, claiming, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words."
I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you.
Maxwell has yet to comment on the note's authenticity, but she has confessed that she regrets her relationship with Epstein. In a 2022 interview with CBS, she admitted, "If I could go back today, I would avoid meeting him, and I would say that that would be the greatest mistake I've ever made." It's safe to say that anyone who ever rubbed shoulders with the late financier feels the same way.